Well, here we are. We're calling this the nightcap. I know it's not 420, it's 421, but that's okay. We're still going to do a nightcap nonetheless because we are three. This is the third out of three tonight. We had Alex Cipher, a little bit different than I expected. He gave us some good stuff. I talked to Mr. Freight Train just before this interview we're doing now, and very first time, never even knew who he was. We never even talked to each other. We talked like friends for an hour straight. Now look at boys and girls. We have the glasses, the ambiance, if you will. This is stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Jake Shrapnel. What's up, my man?
Hey, how's it going? How have you been?
Well, this is another kind of new thing for me because myself, Jake Shrapnel, we've only met one time. I did a quick Kincaid file. He looked at me like I was fucking had three heads, which most people do. I can understand that. When some fucking freakazoid comes up to you, go, "Hey man, I want to do a promo thing, but here's the gig," blah, 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 blah. And then I want you to respond to me, kind of throws people off. So I appreciate you meeting me for the first time and kind of getting into that gig. I really appreciated that.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. Like I was telling you before, it just it was just kind of sprung on me that whole day. They were like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna have you go out for the television commercials," and I was like, "What? Okay, I guess." And then they were like, "Oh, hey, and here's Don Kincaid, and he's gonna do another promo with you," and I was like, "Oh, all right." So
You know, I just love to have fun. And over the course, I've only dove into indie wrestling really hard in like 2016. So I haven't been in the game a whole lot of time. But I will say, Mr. Shrapnel, I have met so many of you men and women. You've respected, me doing my thing with you guys and girls, and I've met so many friends over the course. And this is why I do this now because obviously the whole world is on like a kind of a world weird lockdown right now. Uh, you,
yeah,
the fam, everybody, you're all good with that thing going on.
yeah, so I live with a total of seven different roommates. We have a big kind of shared multi-floor apartment building,
Hmm, hmm.
and so I've been out of work, and it's really been me and one of my other roommates that we both work at Walmart. So we've kind of been out in the trenches the whole time. So we've just been cleaning like crazy, trying to make sure we don't get anyone sick, you know?
I'm kind of out there as well. I've been at a pizza joint for a while. My drummer, my Goomba, the guy who runs the show over there, I've been with him for a while, and I'm kind of out there myself doing the essential thing. Now, and I know this isn't wrestling related, but this is now related. You've got to be going motherfucking crazy at Walmart. Are you shitting me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely a crazy time. I mean, there's just so you kind of imagine with something like this going on that people would stop coming in, and you'd have less people coming in, when in reality it's the exact opposite. It's like Black Friday every single day, and
Really?
it's crazy, but it made it quickly, so at least that's one thing to look forward to about it.
Wow. I mean, again, I'm out there. We're dodging the COVID thing. I
Yep.
love
Oh
saying
yeah.
that. I think it's hilarious. But and I know it's a serious gig. We try to lighten it up a little bit, but we're out there. We're dodging the whole thing, man. And I'm glad to see you're doing well. I'm trying to do my best. I wash my hands. I wash my ass. I make sure I do that very regularly because you probably the reverse though, ass and then hands. That would be a little bit safer.
Yeah, I usually wash my ass in the shower because I take a shower every morning. So,
Mhm.
and
Well,
you
yeah,
take morning
that
shower, why
too.
not?
But hey, you gotta wash your ass regularly. It is what it is. But
True. Very
again,
true.
that's not wrestling. But now, uh, I appreciate you taking the time, hanging out with us because again, I'm not that bright. I don't know a whole lot about one Jake Shrapnel because when I meet somebody new, I should research maybe, do a little dive in, write some notes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Not this guy. We go up by the seam of our ass, and that's the way we like it around here. So, uh, we like to introduce Jake Shrapnel to the fans. Fans, Jake Shrapnel. I hope it's just not my dad and his dog watching. If it is, I apologize. That's my fault.
It's okay. At least my roommates will also watch. Don't worry.
Now, I'm going to start in a very weird place, and I hope you don't hate me for this, but
Sure.
when we corresponded to get this little soiree together,
Mm-hmm.
I had to see who it was because I didn't recognize the last name. I know a lot of Jakes. A
Mm-hmm.
couple Jakes I'd rather not know. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I had to go to the face page, look
Mm-hmm.
at your profile, and you know where I'm going with this, and I apologize we're starting here. I
It's okay.
wanted to call you Jake Poppyseed. I go, yeah, no problem, man. Let's connect. I know we've never met, but we'll take care of business. We'll have a good time. I'm willing to do with anybody. I don't care if I've met him 1,000 times or no times. And I go, so I'll mark you down as Jake Poppyseed, right? And you're like, no, man. Jake Shrapnel. And I go, wait a minute. Now, Poppyseed I never heard of. Jake Shrapnel I have heard of. And you kind of like, wait, you've heard of Shrapnel? Nobody's fucking heard of Shrapnel.
It's true. If you've looked at my wrestling page, it's pretty bare. I try to share promos every now and then, but it's hard to get footage for promoters. So, it's when wrestling appears on there, or my wrestling appears on there, it's because I've dug and dug and dug until I could find it. So, yeah,
Now,
and I was gonna say Peter Poppyseed was a name that I came up with when I was like 15 years old, going to a dance. I was like, I was really good at a British accent at that point, so I came up with this whole character like, "Hello, everybody. My name is Peter Poppyseed. Nice to meet you."
I love that
I
shit.
introduced myself to everybody.
Yeah, we do that at my house. Even my 7-year-old nephew. I've got it on a recording. He's like, hello, Uncle Don. How was work today? Dude, it's like listening to Oliver Twist. We have so much fun over here doing that same shit.
Great. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So when you brought when you said, "Oh, Jake Poppyseed," I was like, "Wait, what?" And I realized I made my Facebook when I was 15 years old, so I added the name. Oh,
Okay, we are laughing. It's funny, haha. Why aren't you fucking changing it? You're Jake Shrapnel.
no, I know. I really do have to change that, but yeah. I honestly don't know how on my main page. I'm not gonna lie. So I'll have to figure that out. You know, I am getting old in my age. I'm not that old, but I'm getting old.
See that, fans? I've only met him one time and we're pressuring him to change his fucking social media. I'm such an asshole. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be so forward. So let's dive into some wrestling now because I did meet you at NEWS, New England Wrestling Superstars. I've only been to one, two, maybe two shows of theirs,
Mhm.
and I wanted to see more, but time was kind of weird. They had to cancel or postpone. We were going to see another one. This whole freaking thing happens. Now obviously that's the only time we've ever met. That was a lot of fun, a little bit different than I'm used to. Uh, I don't know how to put it. It was just different. But anywho,
So no, it was definitely different. I mean, it was one of those places where I mean, I come from Nova. I don't know if you've heard of Nova Promotions at all, but I was an original in Nova Promotions when they started out, and that's kind of what happened with New England Wrestling Superstars. I actually had a coworker who wrestled for them, and then he found out that I wrestled, and he was like, "Hey, want to come join up over here?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then they had some owner swaps and all sorts of different things happened because the wrestling business, it all happens.
wrestling.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
So,
but yeah,
Pa Jose, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, it's okay.
you're talking Nova Promotions. Please tell the fans where that's based out of.
That's based out of West Warwick, Rhode Island. It's actually also up in Maine, up in Sanford, Maine, I believe. So it's in two places now.
West Warwick, that's the home of XWA Center. And I've been to Nova more than once, my friend. And I will tell you, I love that whole XWA scene. We talk a lot of XWA on this show. I got a piece of my heart. XWA, love that building, love the people, love the whole atmosphere up there. That's a great place to start because are you saying that's
Oh
your
yes,
home
it's loads of
promotion?
fun. I mean, yeah, that's my home promotion is Nova right out of that XWA event center. And you know, I got real close with Jose. Honestly, he's a really good guy, and he I took a lot of his advice because you know, we're all learning in the wrestling industry. You know, no matter how long you've been in the business, you're always learning and you're always evolving when you learn. And you know, every time I'd have a match there, he'd you know, give me some pointers and give me some advice. And then there were some times where I'd do something and he got excited, and I was like, yes, I'm doing something right. You know. And so yeah, he started giving advice to the owner of Nova, and the owner of Nova would ask me some questions, and I'd be like, well, you know, whatever Jose says, because I trust him, and I really do. He's a good guy.
Jose is one of those
I love everybody
gems
in
that
that XWA scene, honestly.
absolutely not to slight anybody else, but Jose is one of those gems you don't find very often, especially when it comes to sharing his time and his knowledge. And now you talk about getting feedback from a guy like Jose. Now, Jose, he doesn't mess around. He shoots from the hip. He'll tell you what's up. He'll tell you what's good. If it sucks, it sucks. If it's good,
Mhm.
it's good. He does not sugarcoat it. And you need that in wrestling, especially coming up as a wrestler, being a student. You don't want to hear all good and good job, kid, good job, kid. You got to hear, you know
Right.
what, this, and this, and this. You want to hear that feedback, don't you?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because when you're just hearing, oh, you know, that was a good match, you know, because after every single match, you go into the back, and everyone always says good match.
Mhm.
It's customary, you know, whether or not the match was good. And trust me, I've been on that end of having and hearing that good match and sitting there and being like, oh, don't lie to me, it was not a good match. But that's why, you know, someone like Jose, when he sits there and he'll tell you exactly like it is. He'll be like, you know, that was a good match, but
Mhm.
this and this should improve, or you know, you tried it and it didn't work. Maybe try something else. You
Mhm.
know, so he's very straight, and that's what you need as a learner to have someone who's going to tell you exactly like it is. Because if you're constantly just hearing good, you're
So
going to stagnate.
we're we're talking Jose Garcia or Jose Perez. I've mixed it up on him before, and I almost got a flaming chop. Jake, you don't want one of those. I know you've seen those. That thing is fucking deadly, like for
Oh yeah,
real.
it's a
Uh,
deadly cup.
yeah, don't don't get on the bad end of one, Mr. Perez. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh
we're
no.
talking about Jose. Like, is he your trainer? Who did you train with?
So Jose's I got a lot of my training. I mean, I started in the backyard, of course. You know, a lot of people start in the backyard, and then I've trained here and there. One of the most recent places that I've trained at was the SWO school with Chris Ireland, and that was a pretty cool experience. And
And and
actually,
for those that don't know, what does SWO stand for?
I honestly don't remember.
Oh my God, for
Oh,
real?
oh, yeah, no, I don't remember. It's
Son
like
of a bitch.
Susquehanna something. I can't remember, and I'm actually mixing up the place where. Oh man,
I'm
that's
sorry I'm pressuring you. My fault.
okay. But the most important thing is that I wanted to talk about is what's coming after this whole pandemic. Beyond Wrestling opened up a school, or is opening up a school in Worcester, Mass, and contact with the and uh, currently it's postponed indefinitely because, you know,
Mhm.
obviously the pandemic that's going on. But once that starts up, I'm going to be going to that school, and I'm very excited because Chris Dickinson is going to be the teacher.
He's the head guy.
Yeah.
That has been in the culmination. And now check this shit out, my friend, Mr. Shrapnel. I don't know if you were there at Foxwoods. It was Americana 2019. And Holy mother of goodness. Talk about a fucking WrestleMania, bro. That place was crazy. Were you there?
No, I wish I was, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I wasn't there live. But I did get to of course watch it on the replay on IWTV,
And
and
they announced,
oh yeah,
hmm they
and
had that.
oh my God, it's
The announcement
I'm
of
sorry
the,
the delay.
that's okay. We're both
Sorry.
excited.
Yeah,
We're talking wrestling. You get
yeah,
excited.
I know. Yeah, and it's definitely the WrestleMania of indie wrestling for sure. And soon to be TV wrestling, honestly.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, the atmosphere in that place was absolutely fucking
Hmm.
bonkers. Now, that thing was 5.5 hours long. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, about three-quarters of the way through, well, not three-quarters, they had two intermissions, two like 15, maybe 10 to 15 minute intermissions. But during or before or after one of those, they announced that they were going to bring that school in. So this has been culminating since that Americana. And I've been waiting for this thing to come up because now your tones, have you already signed up? Like, is there a process to get in there? I would think, right?
Oh yeah. So to email the Beyond Wrestling at gmail.com, which will get you in contact with Drew, and I talked to him about it, and it's they're gonna have tryouts for lower rates for wrestlers who've been wrestling for a while, which is pretty cool. But other than that, it's just like any other school. You got to make the connection, you got to make the effort, and it's gonna be running Monday through Wednesday, and every person in the class is expected to be at the Uncharted territory. If you haven't been to an Uncharted territory at the White Eagle, you have to go. They're
Mhm.
phenomenal. I've been to uh, every single one in the last season, and it was a great experience every single time. But yeah, so it's 4 straight days of wrestling school, and I'm beyond excited because I'm going to be there every single day. You know?
Now, I must have seen you on uncharted territory with the camera swinging around at least a million times watching that entire last season. I'm going to have to look back at some of that stuff on IWTV and see if I see Jake Shrapnel in there. I'm sure
Oh,
I will.
So the first season, you'll actually see me a little bit more often because I was going on dates and I would always get right in front of the ring, right on camera side, so you can see
Um,
me there, like directly on that apron.
that was when they were at the Electric Haze, right?
Yep, that was when they were at the Electric Haze. They were small compared to the White Eagle, but they
Yeah.
got it packed every single night.
Now, I would watch that from a distance because I go to so many shows, and yeah, I love that whole Beyond atmosphere and what they bring to the table. Never mind all of the freaking names. Holy shit, they bring in names. But it's like on the weekdays, dude, it's a really rough gig for me. I was doing Thursday night throwdowns at the XWA Center for like 5 or 6 months
Yep.
straight, like nonstop. I dedicated my life to booking XWA. Um, and then and then on Saturdays too, when they have the big shows, I'm going up there, you know. So uh now Jake Shrapnel,
Wrestling.
wait, the connection again, it's a little wonky. Did I miss something there? Uh-oh. I think it's
I
frozen.
said it's oh, you can't hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I
I
got you. I
was
got you.
just wrestling every day. It's I never thought that I'd get to a point in my life where wrestling is literally every single day now, you know?
So trying to be how long have you been in the business by because I've only met you once.
Yeah. So technically I've been in the business since geez, what year is it now? It's 2020. So I've been in the business for about I want to say 5 years. I believe 5 years I got in. I started the- my indie journey is quite a funny one. I this I call it a wannabe indie place because it's definitely not never going to be an indie place. And I won't name names for that reason, because I don't want to talk anyone down. But
Oh, that's
basically,
okay.
I started off this place, and all the shows were basically just shows with wrestlers, and no one else was really invited. And I ended up meeting the owner of Nova, and he saw one of my matches and was like, "Hey, I really like what I see. You want to come join up with me and really wrestle for the Indies?" And I said, "Absolutely," because when someone comes at you with that, so I started off there, and it was called Adrenaline Wrestling at the time. I actually played a Russian named Vladimir Volkovsky, and I recorded a whole hype promo before they even started for them, and they used it because they really dug it. But yeah, and then I've kind of been with them ever since, and they started off really small, and then they moved on to like the original Chop Shop. If you know the original Chop Shop in Providence, Rhode Island. Then after that, wrestling shows kind of got shut down in that Chop Shop. So he ended up hooking up with the XWA Center and Jose, and it just took off. And then after that, now he's doing shows up in Maine. Like I said, shows up in Maine are crazy. Maine wrestling fans are way more into it than I've seen any other wrestling fans. At least in person, they are loud and proud, and I love it. I love getting to wrestle other places because you may meet a lot of people too.
And we talk a lot about that because of the relationship between the fans and wrestlers. From place to place, the wrestling feels a little bit different sometimes. The fans react, and like you're saying, from here to there is a lot different. From
Mm-hmm.
here to New York City, from New York City to there, it's all different, and you get that different vibe, just that little bit, and it makes it. Man, this is pretty cool. You leave with a satisfaction of said event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's a high that you can never stop chasing because it's just that much fun. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and that high I'm talking about is adrenaline, and wrestling. But yeah, it's mesmerizing. When you get out, whatever they start chanting, you just go along with them. Like one time, because I'm a pasty white boy. I'm pale as hell, right? So I
No,
come out to a main show, and they start chanting milkshake, milkshake. And I'm like so hard not to just, because I'm the heel of this match. I'm trying so hard not to just break character and laugh. And so I just start working with the crowd and yelling at them. And then whenever I do something fancy or like, a big spot, I'd like look at the crowd and be like, milkshake, milkshake, like making fun of them calling me milkshake. And it's like, you just don't expect something like that when you come out to the ring, and it's you gotta play with it because it's so much fun.
uh, again, that dance that we do sometimes, and I just spoke to Mr. Freight Train. I speak about a lot about this. Is sometimes the fans, like you're saying, they start calling you milkshake. You don't even know what that. Wait, you're like, what the fuck is going on around here? But you run with it and you utilize it to
Yeah.
your character
Oh
in
yeah.
that time right there, right?
Yeah. Another interaction I had actually was really funny at News. I was wrestling this guy Stevie McBride, and we were doing a match, and I did a spot where he did a Daniel Bryan kick, and I took it and jumped out of the ring, and I started talking with this guy that was in the crowd there, and he just stood up out of his chair, and he starts like fake hitting me and fake kicking me, like wrestling punches and kicks. And I was like, man, I'm the heel. This is great. I look at the ref. I'm like, ref, disqualify him. Look, disqualify my opponent. He's hitting me. It's interference. And the ref's like, no. And I was like, got to play that huge part so well with that minor interaction that it got the crowd like way into that match, because now they're like, oh man, like he'll interact with anybody.
So you're taking what we're doing, utilizing it, having a lot of fun with it, which makes us have fun with it, which makes the match, the performance, the event, it even makes it all that much more fun. How long, because you said about 5 years you've been in it, how long did it
Mhm.
take you to develop that? Because that doesn't come naturally on like almost everyone I've talked to, and I like to kind of gauge that.
So I started off a long time ago doing plays, and I really started loving like the performance aspect. And I didn't when I ended up breaking out into the wrestling world, I thought, oh, it's just like a play. It's gonna be, basic and fun. And then I go out and I mean, it's a lot like a play because of the performance aspect. But like, if you're not interacting with the crowd, you're not doing your job, because you're not going to get that crowd excited. And I gotta say that it honestly took me up until maybe a year ago to really understand, like fully understand that concept. And I've been in the business for those 5 years, and 4 years of it was just realizing how to interact with the crowd properly. And that was one of the things that Jose was like, yeah, this is something you need to work on. And now I'm realizing how important it is.
Hats off to Mr. Perez, because I am telling you, he is such a wicked, wicked smart man when it comes to all of that, the psychology, the in-ring, promos, production, the way the production, the way you look. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy is just really cool, and he's really gracious with his time, though. That's another thing about Jose. He is always gracious with his time. He never would not say no or walk away from you, don't have the time. He will always take the time and talk to as many people as he has to. The guy is just so cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a very busy guy when he's at shows too.
Mhm.
He's constantly doing background work that no one really notices, or I mean, I certainly notice, but the crowd doesn't really notice it. And without it, the show wouldn't have any production value whatsoever. So and he does that while taking all these questions and then giving out this knowledge, and like, he is dedicated to the business, and he's a wonderful guy. I mean, I know I keep talking about him, but
No, no, we both do Jake, because I had him on the show, and I've known him for a while now, but I've had him on the
nice.
show, and he talked about how the XWA Center became. They found the spot, totally blank
Mhm.
canvas. They built that entire event center around one thing and one thing only. He wanted an old school drop microphone to come from the ceiling. Without that, he didn't want to start on anything. He made that priority number one, and they built the entire production thing that you see today around that microphone. And that's it.
I honestly never knew that, and I think that that's genius. It's perfect. Mr. Kennedy, because of the microphone, it's making me think of Mr. Kennedy, but Mr. Kennedy, he coined that in the wrestling business, and it was just beautiful. And you see tons of people who try to do it the same, and they can never do it the same, because Mr. Kennedy made it what it is, and
Yeah.
I thought Jose built the XWA Event Center around that concept, because it's a good concept. Even just for announcing, it's really, really cool.
Mhm. And and again, you've got guys like Bob Whitney, Bobby Rossi, and other guys that go in there. But I'm telling you, seeing Rich Palladino waiting for that microphone to come down, it's like, oh my god, I get fucking chills on my arms. It's like, holy shit,
Oh
it's
yeah.
go time.
You're like, oh, I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Yeah. uh, Now, you were talking. You were a Russian. How you've got to take us on that journey. How does one start off as a Russian, if you will? Come on, give us some of that.
Okay, so honestly, it was really funny, because it all started because of when I was looking for my gear. Because when I even though this company was, again, not not gonna name it, was kind of a wannabe indie company. I still wanted that look, because that's one of the most exciting parts is the look. And so I was looking online for like wrestling trunks and wrestling shorts, and I settled on these Soviet Russian wrestling shorts. And I was like, man, Soviet Russians were tough as hell. So I'm just gonna play this character tough as hell. And I'd already come up with a Russian name years back because again I do voice work, so I do characters and stuff like that. And so, hello, my name is Vladimir Volkovsky. Nice to meet you. And then like I was like, let's make that a wrestling character. And I learned a couple of Russian phrases. I can't deny that I'm sure some of them were incorrect, but um, and I used to play this tough as nails Russian who would sometimes grab a steel chair and slam it into his head in the middle of a match. And the crowd just looked at me like, "What are you doing?" And then eventually,
That's
I was
my
like, "Yeah, I need to stop."
yeah. That's my question. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it was. I was just trying to play too tough for no reason. But I did a couple of compliments from real Russians who said my accent was good. So I when real Russians say your fake Russian accent is good, you did a good job.
You know what was weird? I'm gonna tell a quick story. Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, they're out of East Haven, Connecticut. I go down there for their Friday night alley fights, and man, those things are really cool. For $5, you get to see some fantastic men and women in the ring. You should check that place out, by the way. So, anywho, we're down there, and I'm sitting next to this very attractive looking Russian lady. Now, here comes a Canadian guy. You can tell he's a heel right off the ripper. He comes out. His name is Timothy Theory. He comes walking out, and I'm booing the shit out of him. She's cheering the fuck out of him, and I'm like, "What's going on?" There's a Russian cheering for a Canadian. What is going on in this situation right now? She's like, "That's my boyfriend." I go, "Get the fuck out of here! You speak English." I cannot. I don't even know. I was so lost, dude.
Yeah, when you're around people and they're just in character, sometimes you don't realize that it's a character because they might be really really good at it too.
I lose my shit real easy as a fan because I like that I like that surprise factor that get you, because without that, Finland, if you the dirt sheets, all of that crap, when it comes to the bigger promotions, I don't
Yep.
want to know all of that shit, man. I want to be a
Yep.
fan. I want to be surprised. You're shaking your head. You agree with me. You
Oh
want to
yeah.
be a fan, right?
100%. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I used to follow those dirt sheets for long, and I didn't fully understand why at the time because well, I thought it'd be interesting to see what was happening ahead of time, but it really takes the magic out of it. Like you kind of sit there and you're like, oh well, I know everything that's going on now, so what's the point? And I recently, or in the last year or so, I started becoming an advocate against it. Not like actively or anything like that. Like everyone has their jobs and they need their jobs. But I mean, like, if it went away, wrestling might be a little bit better with the bigger industries. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, Jake Shrapnel is a Russian. Now he goes from a Russian. Does he switch right over to Jake Shrapnel, or is there something in between?
So I actually switched over in the same day. I wrestled in a show because I just wanted to get rid of the character. So we had some guy bury me, like literally 5 minute match, just destroy me at the beginning of the show, and then I re-debuted as Jake Shrapnel later
Get
on.
the fuck out of here!
So, yeah, it was to me one of the funniest things. I mean, I've since made a character because I like I'm kind of a nerd. All wrestlers are kind of nerdy, but this thing that's called lore. So I was like, I have to come up with some lore as to why Vladimir Volkovsky switched to Jake Shrapnel. So I came up with a third character that's kind of like Deadpool, and he has multiple personality syndrome. Eventually, everything's gonna come together, and all of them are gonna be one. It's a whole thing, but it's like yeah, I created for some reason I decided to create a character to retroactively correct. Well,
So you've already thought ahead to evolve your character? Is that what you're kind of giving us right now?
oh yeah, there's especially my newest character. There's many layers to that, which is Jake Shrapnel. There's a lot of things going on, which over the next few weeks or so, I'm going to be starting to share a lot of cinematic promos. In the time that we have now,
Okay.
to try and create like a story that's going on, so that way people could really understand the character. But yeah, I'm kind of now basing it off the seven deadly sins. So I'm gonna have a bunch of different masked characters that they're just entrance masks, but each mask will have a different personality that I wrestle as, with the same name, Jake Shrapnel, because
Okay.
I learned not to change my name. Um, but you'll see me in like different masks, and when you see a different mask, it'll be one personality or another,
Okay.
and I hope it's interesting because it's definitely going to be different. It's going to be hard to really put over, that's for sure.
Well, you never know because since you've been talking about the evolution of with the different faces for different, we'll call them the moods of Mr. Shrapnel. Uh, you've been smiling ever since you've been talking about that. You are ready to do that, and if you're ready to dive in and really, get in it and invest yourself into that whole thing that you're talking about, I think we'll get it as long as you're invested in it.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely invested in it. I mean, it's hard for me not to get invested in a character when I make a character, because I'm a performer. It's what we do. We just when we make a character, it's like we're creating a little piece of art, and we want to just share the art with the world, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely. Now, why Jake Shrapnel though? You were a Russian. Why not, Don Kincaid or Bad News Brown or well, why Jake Shrapnel?
So this is a funny story. Jake Shrapnel was actually a name that when I was in the backyard wrestling scene. Because I was trying to, I had started off like, being a huge Jeff Hardy fan. I was like, I'm just gonna copy Jeff Hardy. I'm gonna be everything that Jeff Hardy was, and so I did that for a little bit. And obviously, kids will be kids. But eventually, I had to come up with my own name, and I was sitting there, and I was a destructive teenager, so I was just sitting there thinking in front of my computer, breaking like little jewel CD cases, and when they exploded, I had an idea, and I was like, "Oh man, Jake Shrapnel." It's kind of a good, explosive name, and the name kind of works with the character that I'm doing, because Shrapnel splits off into all these different pieces and go in all these random directions, and it's hard
Hmm.
to kind of track them, and so I figure, why not have this character with Jake Shrapnel, because it would be cool to have this kind of psychotic character, but not psychotic, because different personalities. But yeah.
Dude, that sounds effing awesome, man, because of the whole relative thing of the shrapnel and the multi things that you're going to be doing. I think that's going to be fun as hell. Now, with that said, though, because you do have a lot going on, bringing us on this journey, and like you said, I hope it goes over. Do you think that there's too much thought into something like this, or you know what, this is a direction I've got going on, and I know what I'm doing with it, and like you said, I'm invested, so there's no turning back. Are you overthinking this stuff a little bit too much?
I would say that it's definitely a possibility. Um, but that's something that I'll have to discover over time.
Mhm.
You know, because and that's what you discover with wrestling when you have characters if you yeah, and I have this whole big idea, but if you make this whole big idea and then you just do it, whether it goes over well or not, then it's like, well, then what are you really giving the crowd? Like, you're just doing your own thing. What are you trying to do to entertain the crowd while also doing your thing? So it'll definitely be something that'll be always evolving and always changing, and you know, it could always be something that I limit to, like, you know, two personalities or three personalities or something, like something small. Or I do it and everyone's confused and I'm like, all right, we'll scrap that idea and we'll come up with something else.
Oh
Be
man,
willing to adjust on the fly.
you know, this conversation right here, and I said this with my last guest, and actually all three guests tonight, and I'm about to say it to you. I didn't expect this kind of conversation from you. I thought it was going to be a little over the top, a little eccentric, if you will. I didn't know where this was going to go because we've only met one time, and I'm like, I don't know what to expect. People see Kincaid, they're like, who the fuck is this weirdo? So, I mean, this has been like really cool. I love talking character and wrestling. Uh, Now, you've been in the business for 5 years. You're obviously a fan. That's very evident with the passion and everything you're bringing to the table. Um, do you sit and watch wrestling nowadays? May it be any of the main product or just indie wrestling, whatever it may be. Are you still watching wrestling regularly?
Oh, absolutely. If you're a wrestler and you're not watching wrestling regularly, what are you? Because wrestling is always changing and you're not paying attention to what's going on. You can't really expect to evolve with the currents, you know, to
Mhm.
swim with the currents, if you will.
Mhm.
I'm actually very excited because wrestling just uploaded their or started uploading all of their episodes on YouTube for free. So that's something that I'm going to be focusing on for a little while. But I've of course been watching AEW. Excuse me. And I kind of did a little boycott away from WWE for a while. Of course, I watched WrestleMania though because you can't not watch WrestleMania no matter how much you're boycotting.
Mhm.
And of course, all sorts of indie wrestling as it's coming out. I mean, IWTV has been a lifesaver
Mhm.
because when you're not able to wrestle, just watching wrestling is it just sits there and get. But yeah, I think Stardom is going to be the next big thing that I focus on. And like I said, AEW is banging right now.
Now, Billy Corgan resurges NWA with the original 10 pounds of gold, the whole
Mhm.
old school vibe from the very first episode. Jake, I'm sitting there watching this thing and I'm like, I'm expecting Ric Flair to come out. Dusty Rhodes, I want to see a promo because it just gave me that exact feel. That's very old school where I grew up on. My first match going to see live was 1978, seeing the
No.
Tito Santana and Ivan Putski as champions going against the Wild Samoans, and Bob Backlund champion going against Cowboy Bob Orton. Now that's my kind of shit. Now we've talked evolution of wrestling, and if you don't pay attention, you kind of can't fit in that mix and really
Mhm.
take wrestling because you need it in your repertoire too. You got to watch what the hell's going on, you know. Now, are
Yeah,
you
exactly.
more
Like you really have to pay attention.
are you more of the classic, the modern with the flippy stuff and the acrobatic stuff? Do you kind of take it all in? And would you call yourself a hybrid wrestler? Because again, I've only seen you perform once. I got to see you perform more.
So I don't know what the term hybrid wrestler would really mean, but I kind of sit there and I take all sorts of wrestling, and you know I've seen all the classics. I started off wrestling back in 2005, so right around when I was like 12 years old, I believe. And I've watched it ever since. So I watched all the big events since then. But I've also gone back and of course you can't not watch The Rock. You can't not watch Stone Cold Steve Austin or any of the WCW days. Dusty Rhodes. Oh my God, I love Dusty Rhodes. Came up with an idea for Cody Rhodes that I wanted him to do because Cody Rhodes goes as the American Nightmare and Dusty Rhodes went as the American Dream. That American Dream song is just the best. So I've always wanted Cody Rhodes to come out with the American Dream song, but redone as American Nightmare, because again, it would just be a big, huge callback to one of the greatest wrestlers to live. But yeah, so I've taken it all in, WCW, everything. Big Andre the Giant matches, of course, as well. All sorts of stuff. So I've got a lot under my belt, I would say.
Nice, because you want, again, I correlate music and wrestling, and you got to be a little more. You have to be open-minded, especially being a performer like that, to be able to take this and that. And even looking across seas, looking at the UK wrestling, now that is some pretty wicked shit out there too. And, the Mexican wrestling, the Japanese wrestling. So you take all of this in and you can really culminate. And I know it takes a long time. It's not like it just happens like that, like anything else, but you can really gain a lot, a little bit from each makes up a lot in one giant package to really kind of become the performer that makes a wrestler.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of see it.
Absolutely. And a lot of times I've had matches and I've had someone sit there and say, slow it down, kind of make it more classic, because when you start off wrestling, you just kind of want to you're like a sponge. You're just trying everything out, or every style out that you can, and you're just going like, oh, I'm gonna wrestle super fast, and not everyone can wrestle super fast. But yeah, I've had some people or some other wrestlers give me advice of slowing it down and really taking in those classic and it's definitely something that's very interesting. I actually watched a tape study on a 5-minute match, because in the indie industry, a lot of your matches are about 5 minutes long, and it was the Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio, and it was like a qualifying match, but it was I forget exactly what it was qualifying for, but it was a 5-minute match. They each did 3 things in the entire match, and the crowd went nuts. And before I watched that tape study, I didn't understand like what it meant to have a simple match that went over very well. And then after that, I was just like, wow, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Three moves each, and it's done in under 5 minutes, and the crowd loved it. Like, they didn't feel cheated or anything like that. Like, it was a great match, and I've started kind of concept really adding it into how I plan my matches to kind of simplify it, but not make it too simple. Because obviously the crowd nowadays is a lot different from the crowd back then. So certain things will work and certain things won't. So it's just about taking all that information and adjusting as you go, especially with the crowd.
Now, we try to have a good relationship at the events. Sometimes there's some bad apples, and some of us kind of get out of hand and do some stupid shit to you guys, men and women. Have you ever run into some of them funky little instances where a fan kind of went a little too far, fucked with you a little bit, or any of that stuff?
I'm actually pretty lucky. I haven't personally run into any issues or anybody that's gone too crazy. I have been hit on a couple of times though, which was a lot of fun to get hit on it. You have your match, and then you go out and start talking to the crowd, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what's your number?" And it's just like, "Oh, okay." Like, I didn't know this was a meet cute too.
How you doing?
Not too far.
Now, I've been trying to, because it seems to be a relative yes on this factor. We, the fans, the older guys, girls that go to the shows, we like to have fun. we get away from the bills and the job and the bullshit to go to see wrestling and watch you guys do your thing. But then we bring our family, our kids and stuff. Now, the kids I'm to hear are louder and filthier with their mouths than a lot of the adults. Have you run into any of that yourself?
Yes, kids are definitely loud and they can definitely have filthy mouths, and like it's really kind of a shock when you're because obviously in the back when you're at a show most of the time it's, hey, it's family friendly, so don't go out there and up there, and you're trying your best not to swear when you swear like a sailor, and then all of a sudden this kid looks at you and is like, fuck you, and you're just like, god damn it, I can't swear back. And it's funny every time. And I can't. Oh man, I can't get over it.
That's the kind of shit that we like to hear on this show, because it's all about having fun. Without it being fun, that's what we do at wrestling. We don't go there to be pains in the asses. We go there to have fun, and that's why for me personally, that's why I use it for the escape, because you can go people you've never met before in your life, wrestlers you've never seen perform, and you can walk away from a show having a great time without ever meeting anybody. And I love that about wrestling.
I've met a lot of people in the industry. Hung out with people like stepdads, for example. The stepdads are great guys. I've met them at private shows that we've done, and of course I've seen them in the indie scene as well. And it was great because to be able to see a lot of backyard wrestlers, because we all started off in the backyard at one point in our lives, but to see these people that you knew as backyard wrestlers just get into the indies and especially when they deserve it, it's so exciting because Rad Hazard is one of my favorite people on the planet. That's Daniel Baldwin, in case you're confused about the name, but he has multiple names, of course. But
you know what I did though, because I did interview him like as recently as yesterday. They were my first interview at 5 p.m. because we rescheduled. Okay. The whole and just this morning, it's funny you mentioned that. Just this morning, I wake up, kind of wipe the shit out of my eyes, grab the phone, see what was going on, make sure I posted everything correctly. I should proofread when I first do it, but I usually don't because I got so much shit that I do. And I look at it the morning after, which is probably one of the worst ideas ever in the universe. Don't do that, kids. I'm telling you. So I get up and I'm looking at, what I did last night and make sure it was all good. And I'm looking at that thumbnail of the stepdads, and I go, I called that poor bastard Mr. Baldwin through the entire interview like a jackass.
That is his real name, though.
I know, but you're not supposed to do that, Mr. Shrapnel. I'm telling you. And I reached right out this morning after seeing that thumbnail, and I go, I called him Mr. Baldwin the whole fucking interview. I reached out and I go, dude, I am so sorry. I feel like a douche. Please accept my apology. He's like, no, dude, don't worry about it. It happens way more than you think it does. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel better now.
Oh yeah. I mean, sometimes the real names slip out, like especially because it's hard to keep up with everyone whose names is changing all the time. Like I used to wrestle this guy, again, one of the best guys in the world that I've ever met. His name was he used to be Halo Brown, but now he's in Chikara, and his name is Xavier Faraday. And I was in a podcast interview a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't remember his new name because I had just learned it like a couple of days before, a couple of months before, because he just started sharing it. And so I was like, oh man, I can't remember what my buddy Halo's name is now. And then the guy corrected me. I was like, oh, thank you. Now I will never forget Xavier Faraday's name.
Oh, I don't know why I did that, especially on a regular basis for a freaking hour. I've never done that on a regular basis with anybody, especially in an interview. There's one wrestler I would call him by his first name, but throw the shoot name in every so often when I would do center ring. I don't know why I do it. It pisses me off. It shouldn't be done, but it happens, and I had to apologize to. I don't even see. I know, I know,
So
I know by. I know him by Mr.
I think
Baldwin.
his current name is Radley Belmont, if
Yes,
I'm not
thank you.
mistaken.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God, I feel like a fucking asshole still. Oh man, good times.
Which
We
there's
love
tons
wrestling,
of them. Yep. Absolutely.
and I'm not that bright, so to keep as many names in order and know who's who, and be able to look up their messenger under their shoot name, real name, if you will. When I gotta kind of message them and stuff, I'm like, ah, fuck, what was his name? What was her name? What's their, oh man, I get so confused. You guys have really got me on a tailspin here.
So I can imagine it can get very confusing. Trust me. Whenever Rad was telling me about different podcasts to try, he'd give me somebody's name as their wrestling name or their performing name, or their stage name, I guess. And
I think it froze for a second. It's bad connection on the other end. It's definitely not on my end. He's frozen. We're at 56 minutes. Not sure if we're going to get him back. If I get him, if I have to hang up, we're going to call him back, finish up here because we just got a little bit left. I don't want to let it run too long. Mr. Shrapnel, we're going to call you back. I think the Kincaid actually seeped and hacked on my shit or something. I don't know what's going on. Mr. Shrapnel, I apologize for that. I don't know what's going on.
that's okay. Remember, I share internet with 7 other people, so
Oh, so it was probably you. That's okay. Hey, we're back though. Now we've talked a lot about Jake Shrapnel. We even talked a little bit about a Russian. Did not see that even coming a mile away. We talked. You were called Milkshake. I can almost see that. I wish I was part of that. That would have been a lot of good times right there. I want to do that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, please don't hurt me if I start that and make a domino effect. But if I do see you and you're playing a bad guy, because I don't like the bad guys, I'm fucking starting a milkshake chant and you're getting hit.
Oh, do it. Please do. Because it will give me some sort of interaction, and that's the best part, honestly.
Well, I can't wait till that day. I'm going to sleep so good tonight being like, man, I can't wait to call Jake Shrapnel Milkshake. Oh, man, that's going to be a good night's sleep tonight, baby.
Yeah.
Mr. Shrapnel, you've been very gracious
when
with
you get a nickname, you just you hold it. Well, hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we just came back and it was only like, we've only been running a couple minutes, but I got all of this video stuff I got to put all together, get it all up on the YouTube so everybody can check it out. Hopefully it's just not like my dad and his dog that watches my shit, and we can get some eyes to to get introduced to Jake Shrapnel. Now, I want to ask you to share your face page and your social media, but do we want to do that right now? Are you Are you geared for that, or do we want to wait down the road and wait for that shit to come out and I'll share it for you?
I mean, honestly, I think the promos are going to be starting within the next week or so. So I think we're ready to do it. I mean, you can find me on Facebook.com/Jake Shrapnel. Wrestling Tees website, prowrestlingtees.com/Jake Shrapnel. Buy my merch. It's some nice custom merch.
You have like a character page or a
Yep.
gimmick page, if you will, and I've been tagging your fucking shoe page.
Yeah, I've had a
What
gimmick
the
page this time.
fuck?
I've just
Again,
blown your world.
I'm not that bright.
Hey, no, don't worry. Like I said, I'm my page is pretty bare, so don't worry about it.
All right. Well, it was a little boo boo, not a big boo boo. He accepted my apologies. He's not gonna turn my body into shrapnel because I only weigh like 35 pounds. It'd be very easy to do. Uh, Mr. Shrapnel, again, thank you for your time. It was really nice meeting you today. We never actually ever really met, and this was a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It was a lot of fun. A lot different from the last time we met because again, it was really just, hey, I'm done. Do a promo. Like, okay. And this time it was more, hey, let's sit down and talk and it was definitely a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun
Yeah,
getting to know.
cool, man. I appreciate that. Same here, man. And I can't wait. All of this shit gets over with. We get back to home, if you will, because wrestling is where we like to go when we don't have to work, when we don't have to deal with our bullshit. We go to wrestling to get away. I call it my second home. They
Oh
call
yeah.
it the families, the men and women behind in the locker rooms. That's your second family. But I call wrestling just like my fucking second home, man, because we love it so much, and I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, same. Trust me. I was just asking Drew how everyone was doing in Beyond because I was like, hey, I know this the wrestling school and everything like that, but I want to check up on you guys because I would feel like an asshole if I didn't check up on you guys. You know what I mean? Because we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Wrestler, podcaster, promoter, everybody. We're all going through the same shit. So I was just glad to hear that everyone's healthy and doing well. So
Absolutely. Same here, man. Stay safe because, oh, wash your hands,
yep.
wash your ass. Make sure you got to do both. It doesn't have to be in that order. Probably reverse the order a little bit. I would go ass, then hands, little more sanitary.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, what a way to end on that one, huh? This, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, another new friend we made tonight, boys and girls. I can't wait till we get out there and really see these guys live. My very special guest, Jake Shrapnel. Thank you for spending the time with us and talking to us, the fans, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.